Many thanks for joining us. I am Ansumane Sonyasi, and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Karaba Avenue. Our headlines this evening: the Minister of Finance today presented a supplementary appropriation bill of nearly $2 billion. The amount sought is to provide additional public services, including for elections, infrastructure, and other matters. The TRRC has announced that its much-anticipated final report and recommendations have been delayed, and the Commission's mandate extended for a further 2 months. Following the early July windstorm that battered all regions of the country, the Brikama Area Council on Tuesday presented $500,000 disaster relief to the National Disaster Management Agency. In business news, the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry concluded its annual general meeting on Tuesday with the adoption of a new constitution and plans to generate more revenue. And in international news, as World Hepatitis Day is commemorated today, we take a look at how serious the disease is in the Gambia. Well, for more on these and other stories coming up, do stay tuned. Well, those were our main headlines, and now we take a look at the news in detail. The Minister of Finance today presented a supplementary appropriation bill of nearly $2 billion. According to the Minister, the objective of this bill is to provide additional public services, including for elections, infrastructure, the pandemic, disasters, national security, and international financial institutions. QTV's Mohamed Lamin Choi reports.
The minister is requesting an additional sum of over $1.7 billion from National Assembly members to supplement government expenditure for the rest of the 2021 fiscal year. The Ministry of Roads and Infrastructure accounts for the lion's share of the SAP, with $1.12 billion is proposed.
Honorable Speaker, it is worthy to highlight that both the Kaleng Bustown and Basse Yoruba roads in the Upper River region, URR, have been completed. These roads will play an important role in boosting access to health facilities while stimulating economic activities within the URR region. As a result, additional resources are included in the supplementary proposal for the settlement of areas owed to the contractors.
Among the services the bill seeks to address is to compensate affected landowners of the OIC Roads project and financial shortfall on materials for voter registration, operationalization of the revising courts and roads projects. $80 million is proposed to supplement the IEC's budget to conduct elections, while at least $22 million is requested for the judiciary. The bill is also set to settle areas which include to international banks and $100 million areas of scholarship the Gambia government owes to the University of the Gambia. There is also the proposal to increase the subvention for National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. In the wake of security problems and concerns in the country, acknowledged by the minister, he is also asking for $45 million for the Ministry of Interior for their security operations and $59 million for the Defense Ministry to procure military equipment for peacekeeping missions. And for social services, $134 million is proposed for the Ministry of Health for the purchase of 70 ambulances for distribution across the country. There's also a proposal of $30 million for the Ministry of Information, meant for the state broadcaster to conduct comprehensive coverage of the upcoming elections. The National Assembly members debate with divergent views the issues the bill is seeking to address for the country.
I still cannot understand why the minister has not come up with a contingency fund with all the disasters, faced with 3 major disasters. And we are still not doing what the Constitution says should be done. When it happens, we are struggling to look for assistance there and run health scans, come with a supplementary appropriation. How can we continue this way?
Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, areas to contractors, areas. I mean, the COVID-19 is looming. The rains are coming. We don't know what disasters are going to happen. You want to pay areas on things that we can actually put in the 2022 budget. Why?
The issue is
The Honorable Minister for Information is here. I think he will make sure that after giving them the amount, all opposition political parties will be given equal opportunities like the political party which is in government.
The debate continues and is expected to last throughout today. The bill is being considered under a certificate of urgency from the President. By the rules of procedure governing the business of the National Assembly, the Assembly shall proceed with the sitting of such bill throughout all stages without adjournments. Mahmoud Lamin Choy, QTV News.
Interesting report there. Now, the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, which concluded its public hearings on 28 May 2021, has announced the postponement of its final report submission and further extended its mandate by 2 months. Our reporter Mundu Gajaga has more.
Addressing the press, the chairman of the TRRC, Dr. Lamin Sise, says the delay to submission of their report was necessitated by many factors, amongst which are some incomplete work on the final report, which was due to be submitted on Friday, the 30th of July.
The heavy schedule of work devoted them to completing the draft report. The Commission informed the Attorney General on 27 July that it needed more time, about 8 weeks, to complete all 16 volumes of the report and other important documents. Accordingly, and following a meeting between the chairman of the Commission and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, the Commission suggested a new date of Thursday, 30 September 2021, as the date of submission of the final report of the TRRC to the President.
According to the chairman of the Commission, at least 16 volumes of the report needed to be completed, each containing an overview, findings and recommendations on the following: soldiers with a difference, November 11, 1994 extrajudicial killings of security officers, unlawful killing of former Finance Minister Usman Koro Sise, the convoy of the President, accidents and deaths, April 10th and 11th, 2000 student demonstrations, amongst others.
Considering that the Commission received 2,600 statements and heard testimonies from 393 witnesses covering 16 themes, the report writing process was a daunting task for the Commission. The team involved in the process is working round the clock almost to make sure it is given the attention that it deserves.
Ask whether the 2 months extension of their mandate will be enough for the completion of the final report, and if the Commission was under any pressure from an interest group. This was his response.
If there is any pressure, the pressure is just we ourselves, the volume of work, we're trying to finalize that. But pressure from outsiders, no. I don't think anyone is doing that. The expectation is high, which is absolutely right, that after 22 years of authoritarian rule, dictatorship in the country, victims, 250 also killed, and many still suffering from the victimization.
Now that the new date for the submission is expected to be on September the 30th, 2021, with 2 previous delays of the final TRRC report to the President, due to various reasons advanced, will there be another postponement? The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, is a truth commission in the Gambia whose mandate is to investigate the human rights violations under the regime of former President Yahya Jammeh from 1994 to 2017. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Now, following the recent windstorm that battered all regions of the country, the Brikama Area Council on Tuesday presented $500,000 to the National Disaster Management Agency to support the windstorm disaster victims in the West Coast region. Abibatu Sise tells us more.
The first situational report by the National Disaster Management Regional Agency on the July 7th windstorm showed loss of lives and damages to properties, causing displacement of families. At the presentation, the chairman of Brikama Area Council, Sirifo Sonko, commended the government for their swift intervention in aiding victims. Sonko adds that the assistance is part of their mandate to provide help to taxpayers as highlighted in their motto, "We collect, we serve."
A total of 2,407 households are affected, with a population of 37,112 persons, amongst them children and lactating mothers in the West Coast region, and coupled with the region emerging as the worst hit region in terms of the highest number of the population affected by the windstorm, as disclosed by the National Disaster Management Agency. At over 80,000, as at yesterday, 26 July 2021, it becomes a duty and mandate to provide assistance in order to mitigate the impact of the disaster on our communities in a such timely manner.
Sana Dahaba, the Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, says NDMA has extended support to victims after the windstorm, adding that such efforts will help victims to get back to normal lives.
Well, they are going to, these are complementary funds. Today we have already disbursed $8 million, and these are complementary funds that are also going to support the disaster victim in a form of cash transfer. Well, this one is specific to West Coast region and is going to target, the principal target is the victims of West Coast region.
Bintaba, a windstorm victim, expressed delight and commended the Brikama Area Council for coming to their aid. At the moment, my family is displaced. This support by the Brikama Area Council is timely, and I want to thank them for that. The Governor of West Coast Region, Lamin Sane, and the National Assembly member for Fonyi Kansala, Musa Amulnyasi, called for attitudinal change towards the environment and encouraged people to plant more trees to serve as windbreakers to mitigate the effects of climate change. According to the NDMA, the July 7th windstorm is described as the worst natural disaster to hit the country in several years. It claimed 10 lives, left over 1,500 families internally displaced and over 3,000 families seriously affected. For QTV News, I am Abibatu Sise.
And that report there by Abibatu Sise will lead us to a short commercial break, but the news continues when we return.
Such exceptional prices, impossible to miss the Butty Days. Butty Days is the unmissable appointment of Butty Mart. From the 17th to the 31st of July, take advantage of exceptional discounts up to 50% off on several product family. The best quality, price ratio for the best construction is at Butty Mart. So don't wait anymore. Let's hit the road for the Butty Days. Butty Mart, everything for construction, from foundation to finishing.
Welcome back from that short commercial break, and if you're just joining us, be reminded you're following QTV News coming to you live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue, and I am Ansmane Nyasi. Now, a 3-month rheumatic heart disease screening exercise at 2 major schools within Greater Banjul area, and the results from the findings were presented on Tuesday before stakeholders and students at Nusrat Senior Secondary School. Loliam Kamara attended and Sina reports.
The 2 schools in the screening exercise are Nusrat Senior Secondary School and Charles Jau. According to a team of experts, the overall objective of the research is to generate baseline data to inform the design of a multi-center trial in West Africa on the efficacy of penicillin in the treatment of rheumatic heart disease. The study started in October 2019 and they hope to end by September of this year. In the welcoming remarks on behalf of the principal, Ibrahim Kake said the initiative taken by MRC in conducting the research on rheumatic heart disease is crucial, while stating that they have encountered multiple times when students suffered an attack.
Every now and then, as we are doing our teaching routine, we'll discover that students will be falling here, they will be falling there, sometimes in classes, sometimes at the assembly, sometimes during break, almost all the time. For those of us who have been in the teaching field for quite some time now, you hardly come to the school and leave without having a case of rushing students to the hospital. It was a concern to us.
Dr. Annette Ahad, Principal Investigative LATI Project, gave an overview of the project.
We are seeing a lot of children, young children, with rheumatic heart disease. And at that time, Dr. Jaite, our Gambian cardiologist, was doing the echography. So one day we said, we have to do something about this disease because it is preventable, but nobody knows exactly the burden. So we assessed the children that are followed up at the MRC at the EFSTH. There are more than 200 children known and followed up for rheumatic heart disease.
Dr. Annette Ahad added that similar research was done at Farafenni, but with a focus on pregnant women.
At the end of this study, we are able to say that we identified 41 children in total with rheumatic heart disease. All of them were not aware about their condition. We referred them now for proper cardiac management and for monitoring.
She advised parents to take advantage where it is available to screen their children for rheumatic heart disease, adding the disease is silent until when it is too late. On the recommendations given, Dr. Lamin E.S. Jaite, a project member, highlights key areas of intervention which include the continuous awareness campaign, training more nurses, and screening of children at an early stage. He then called on the Ministries of Health and Education and the government to give the highest consideration to these recommendations. Other speakers at the event included Babukar Jaju from Mopsi, Suleiman Jame, Councillor of Bundum 6 Johnson, and Abdullah Silla. Rheumatic heart disease is a condition in which the heart valves have been permanently damaged by rheumatic fever. Experts say the heart valve damage may start shortly after on-treatment and under-treatment symptoms. And complications include heart failure, which means the heart is unable to pump blood efficiently. And with the results from the findings, our healthcare system and government have a huge task ahead. For QTV News, Lolly M. Camara.
And now on to some business news. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry held its annual general meeting on Tuesday to adopt a new constitution and lay plans to transform trade fair grounds to generate income for the chamber and its members. Babukar Sisia reports.
In his opening statement, the president of the GCCI, Idrissa Mas Job, says when the country's economy was paralyzed by the COVID-19 in the early 2020, it was the business community that came together to contribute their quota to help the economy and establish a place for COVID-19 patients. He added that it is our duty to ensure GCCI's continued relevance and development. He gave reasons for the convergence.
The special reasons we are here are two. One is to pass this new constitution. And the second reason is that those trade fair grounds, I think, can be eventually sources of income for the GCCI. So we are asking the members to allow us to form a company called the Jula City Company, because we want to build a city with a mall, including 2 big buildings for financial services, a hostel, and other office blocks. The rest of the land, we want to use it as equity and use the value of our land as our shares. Once you do that, we are also encouraging that if you can, even if it is $1,000, you try to buy shares in this new company.
Job says that despite the great achievement made by the GCCI over the years, the chamber also has its shortcomings, but is optimistic that there will be light at the end of the tunnel.
We didn't do as well as we wanted, as well as we promised in our manifesto in creating the regional chambers of commerce. We promised that we were going to have chambers of commerce all across the Gambia. We started the exercise, but we didn't do well. We didn't address also the issue of access to finance, but I'm certain that we still have some at least 1 year in our mandate left. We are cognizant of that and we wanted to solve that.
Presenting the auditor report for the year 2019-2020, independent auditor Donald Charles Kai says the liquidity condition of the chamber is healthy.
In 2019, the total expenditure was 21.2 as compared to 20 million in the comparative year of 2018. That resulted in a net surplus of 5.38 million for 2019 compared to 1.7 for 2018. 33.1 million was collected in 2020, which is a very handsome amount considering the circumstances. And the major activity, which is of no surprise because the chairman has laid bare the circumstances of 2020, is COVID related. In terms of the expenditure, Mr. Chairman, board members and honorable members of this chamber, it was 32.9 million, approximately 33 million. Again, almost half of that, that's 15 million, is attributable to COVID expenditure. We, as your independent auditors and as professionals, decided to give a clean audit opinion. That's to say, your chamber has a very good bill of health.
Mr. Job thanked his predecessors, CEOs, board members and international organizations for their tireless efforts in supporting the GCCI. He also thanked businesses, individuals and media houses for their spirit of solidarity, hard work and dedication, especially helping the GCCI raise funds to help in the fight against COVID-19. Babkar Sise, QTV News.
Now, in international news, today is World Hepatitis Day, set aside to make a clear call to improve efforts towards eliminating hepatitis, which kills globally 1 person every 30 seconds. Jennifer Sonko had a conversation with the World Health Organization today and seen our reports.
The World Health Organization, WHO, in 2016 set a target to eliminate viral hepatitis by 2030. To achieve this, governments develop national strategic plans for viral hepatitis and earmark resources to eliminate the disease. The WHO says that many African countries that committed to eliminating the disease have either not ratified their guidelines or not increased access to hepatitis care. Reports show that out of the 47 countries, only 28 have developed national plans to eliminate the disease, and only 13 have disseminated their policy documents. In Africa, 70 million people are infected and 200,000 die annually from hepatitis, even though treatment is available.
In the Gambia as well, we have the Ministry of Health has developed a national hepatitis strategic plan and policy, and this has been implemented. You are aware that the hepatitis vaccination has been in place in this country since 1990, and that is ongoing. So we are happy to say that in the population that has been vaccinated with hepatitis vaccine, we are seeing a very low percentage of them having hepatitis infection, so which is a good thing. It's about less than 1% prevalence.
The COVID-19 pandemic has eroded some of the gains that had been made in the past few years, according to research. Dr. Shamila Ralif Jah explains further.
COVID-19 has affected the delivery of essential services for all other diseases in our health facilities. This is not only because of the fact that we have a lot of cases, but because the doctors and the nurses are all been assigned to COVID. Because of this, hepatitis also has, services have also been impaired in many countries, especially the routine immunization, which is the hepatitis B vaccination. And so definitely it has had an impact. On the other hand also, having infection, especially chronic infection with hepatitis B, also predisposes people to get liver cancer.
The World Health Organization has confirmed that liver cancer is prevalent in West Africa. Specialists point to high rates of hepatitis as a likely cause. In fact, 8 West African nations are in the top 25 countries with the highest prevalence of liver cancer. These include Liberia, Guinea, Ghana, Burkina Faso and Senegal. In fact, liver cancer is the most common cancer in the Gambia, with a prevalence of 23.9 per 100,000 people. In fact, liver cancer in men counts for more cases than all other forms of cancer combined in the Gambia. Dr. Ramunjai, Gambian hepatologist, in an interview with DW says, most of the liver cancer is due to the hepatitis B. Njai tells DW, vaccinating children has improved the situation for younger people, but hepatitis is still widespread in older people, particularly hepatitis B and C. Dr. Njai went on to make a comparison between treatment for hepatitis and other epidemics, saying, the problem is that they see patients with HIV get free treatment from the Global Fund. They get free nutritional support to the extent that there are patients that have tried to get themselves infected with HIV to access treatment, because at the moment there is not a global fund for viral hepatitis. Njai is optimistic, though, that the Gambia can start a treatment program to eliminate hepatitis by 2030, pointing to the country's relatively small size and population. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
And I'm afraid that's all about it. But before we take a leave of you, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Bye for now.